If you just started YouTube and looking to buy the Sony FX30 as your first dedicated YouTube camera, keep watching. Because after using this camera personally since it launched, I would avoid buying this as your first choice. Don't buy this camera before watching this video. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ryan and I want to share some reasons to avoid the Sony FX30. Okay. First of all, the Sony FX30 is an amazing camera. It is a low-cost cinema line camera from Sony in comparison to their other cinema line cameras like the FX3, FX6, and even the FX9. The FX30 films in 4K, 24, 30, 60, and 120 frames per second. It films in 10-bit, 422, and is under $1,800 US for the body only. It is built well, fully functional, and ergonomic for video creation. It has an APS-C 26 megapixel sensor, so lenses will be cheaper than its full frame equivalent. You can shoot in Cine EI, it has dual base ISO, and even capable of 1080p at 240 frames per second. It also has in-body image stabilization and more. Now, to be clear, I am not a large YouTube channel and in my own right, just starting my journey here on YouTube. I'm filming this video on the Sony FX30 and I absolutely love it. It is now my main YouTube camera, yet this wouldn't be my first choice or recommendation to most people starting off on YouTube as a beginner. I know. What are you talking about, Ryan? You are technically a beginner and you have the Sony FX30 and you just stated that you love it. Let me explain. First, let's define a beginner in the context of someone that just started a YouTube channel and has only posted less than 30 videos and has little to no experience using a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And the less than 30 videos are important because you could be on YouTube for many years and only post a handful of videos. It takes time to learn the ins and outs of your footage, being creative, learning about exposure, white balance, and I haven't even touched on video editing and all the things you will learn when filming and posting 30 plus videos. As a beginner, as I just defined it, you're probably thinking about upgrading to a dedicated camera from either an old DSLR or HD 1080p mirrorless camera or from a smartphone. And if you are used to filming your videos on a smartphone where you can just press record and get decent video quality, you're probably looking for a new camera that is also easy to use and has good video quality right out of the box. Some of the things I think are must-haves for a beginner for a first YouTube camera to create content. One, low cost, or at least under $1,000 before adding lenses. A camera that has interchangeable lenses to grow with you when combined with better glass. And also a camera that is easy to use and learn, and also capable of 4K, 24, and 30 frames per second. And also has pretty good video quality with the standard picture profile. And that will enable you to give you no to little color grading right out of the box, still providing a great picture quality. Okay, with that in mind, let me explain why you might want to double think about choosing the Sony FX30 as your first choice for a dedicated YouTube camera. First, the learning curve for the Sony FX30 will be a bit longer and steeper than other options and definitely will take some time to nail in the look that you want. It might take several videos and you will have to play with different picture profiles, introducing color grading and a bit more work and learning versus just pressing record, inputting your video into editing software like Final Cut Pro, editing your video, exporting, and uploading to YouTube. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the cost. As I said earlier, this is a camera with lots of value for the price with all the features you get. Now, if you can't take advantage of those features, the value may not be that valuable to you in the beginning before you gain some experience with the camera and just filming. So, at $1,800 US, that is just for the body. You do need to purchase lenses, and even when finding great deals for new and used, you'll be looking at a few $100s at a minimum. Now with lenses, that is another video altogether. Depending on what kind of YouTube videos you want to create and to get the best use out of this camera, you might be looking at purchasing at least 2 lenses. For example, for my talking head videos, I use a Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens and set it and forget it. It is a bit of a heavier lens, so I have other lenses, more notably when I am out and about, my Sony 18 to 105mm lens f4 that gives me a variety of focal lengths and zoom without changing multiple lenses. Another reason you may not want to purchase this camera as your first beginner camera dedicated to YouTube is that the Sony FX30 is a video-centric camera and not focused on photography. Don't get me wrong, you can take great photos and does it quite well with a 26 megapixel sensor. If you wanted to take more photos in different situations, the Sony FX30 doesn't have a mechanical shutter and can only take 1 picture at a time. As I am more and more exploring photography, this isn't my first choice as the main camera for photos. Again, don't get me wrong. I've taken photos out of this camera, and like I said, it does a really good job. It just lacks some key features that hybrid cameras or dedicated photo cameras would have, like that mechanical shutter, continuous shooting, and a viewfinder, just as a few examples. Okay, so if you're still with me, and if you have found value in this video so far, hit that like button. It helps support the channel, and it's completely free. Now you might think, and rightfully so, if this camera has that much value, why not buy it and take the time to learn as you get better? Then you can start taking advantage of all those great features over time. And that is the main thing to consider if you start looking at the Sony FX30 or other options at this price range, and even more going into full frame cameras. Are you willing to take the time to learn, invest, and accept that your first few videos out of this camera might not be the best or might even be worse than your past videos? Now, if you do put in the time to learn this camera, its manual settings, how to edit the footage, and save some money on purchasing lenses for the type of videos you want to make, this camera is unbelievable for the price. If you're looking for a lower learning curve and an easy to use camera with great 4K footage, there are plenty of great sub $1,000 cameras that will do a great job, like the Canon M50 Mark II, the Sony ZV-1, Nikon Z30, and my first beginner YouTube camera, the Sony ZV-E10, and personally would recommend the Sony ZV-E10 if you are looking for everything I talked about for a first YouTube camera as a beginner. This camera is low cost of entry into mirrorless cameras. It's easy to learn and use. It does provide 4K, 24, and 30 frames per second. And it has pretty good video quality with the standard picture profile, and little to no color grading is needed, which still looks great. Now, if you do decide to buy the Sony FX30, it really is a great value, and I would recommend setting the expectation to invest the time to learn it. I'm still learning this camera and sharing what I learn here on my channel. So if you are interested to learn more, hit that subscribe button. If you found value in this video, you know what to do. And if you like the content like this one, watch these videos over here. Be safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.